Tonight I sit down with Eric Hyde, director, and George Dean, actor of the upcoming series From Ashes to Immortality, to talk about how they got involved with the project and their processes of being in the independent market. Then I chat with child actress Jenna McCarty to talk about her work and discuss the struggles and successes she has as an actress. The reels are rolling here on Upstart Film. Good evening and welcome to Upstart Film, where we talk to independent filmmakers about their hardships and successes when creating movie magic. From the KMOY studios in Warrensburg, Missouri, I'm your host, Josh Leonard. Thanks for tuning in. Tonight I have actor George Dean from the upcoming web series From Ashes to Immortality. And I also have Eric Hyde, the director of the series, here. And correction, it's not a web series, it's a series here in studio. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and start off, Eric. I'm going to ask you, how did you get into the business? What made you want to become a filmmaker?
Failure. And then I just decided that I was done failing, so I wanted to pursue my dreams. But pretty much I started as a little kid. I took a camera from my mom's school, and I got started when I was about 12, making home movies, and I've had some rough patches in my life, and I just decided that I wanted to stop having rough patches and making good stuff happen. So.
All right. Well, I guess that's one way to do it, you know. George, how'd you get into the acting field?
A good friend of mine sent me to an audition when I was in college for the theater group. Didn't really do anything before then. Went in and had a knack for it, and I can't stop now, and got done with theater. Did that for several years and just decided film's the way to go. Started auditioning and kind of ended up here. It's just a nonstop ride once you get on, you know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So tell me a little bit about what is From Ashes to Immortality.
Well, From Ashes to Immortality is basically a fantasy film, but it's sort of an urban fantasy film. The one-sentence synopsis of it is a paleontologist, Del Martin, has a special secret that he uses for good and bad. But it's basically a pretty awesome project with Wes Studi from Last of the Mohicans and Dances with Wolves. He was the bad Indian in that one. And Blake Robbins, who was in Oz, was in Firefly. He was in The Office, Sons of Anarchy. Kevin Wilmot's going to cameo in it. George is in it. Mike Anderson, the host from The Not So Late Show in Lawrence, Kansas, is the star of it. Christy Dobson in Lawrence, Kansas is going to be in it. There's just a lot of really cool people involved with it, and it's just a really exciting project, and I can't believe it's gotten so interesting. So.
Absolutely, and it sounds like you got star power, especially you know with George over here on here.
Yeah.
So how did you get involved with this project?
I went to an audition they were having there in Lawrence. I was deciding whether or not to leave for Atlanta or LA, talking to my agency, and I went to an audition, and I really loved the story. You know, it was really smart, and in that concept, seeing a script that was really smart, it was very captivating. Took me by surprise. So immediately I wanted to be in it. Started talking to Eric on the side about different stuff he was doing, and just lucky enough to still be a part of it and be growing with it, and you know, doing my other side projects here in the Kansas City area. But really loving it. Just having a blast out here in the Midwest. I'm not from here, but thank you, Midwest. It's having a blast.
Absolutely. So what was what you have so far is a pilot for a series. Mm-hmm. What was the deciding factor to make it a series?
Well, originally I just wanted to make about an hour-long film, but when I wrote the story, Mike Anderson helped me rewrite it, and we realized that we had an incredibly interesting idea for a story that could just keep going on and on. And what basically made it into a pilot is that just that it's kind of a story that needs to go on. So awesome. I don't know how else to say it.
Well, let's go ahead. We actually have a trailer for the pilot for From Ashes to Immortality. Let's go ahead and take a look.
who believes that dinosaur bones have magical powers. That's how the Avengers was created, isn't that right, Doctor?
Oh, Dr. Martin, do you have a second?
Well, I'm on my way to class.
Fantastic. I just wanted to ask you, would you like to comment on Dr. Ryan's work?
Oh, God. You don't want me commenting on that man's work. So he somehow gets editors to publish the same old crap over and over again. Hey, stop! Hold on.
Let me ask you something. Why would anyone want to live in Kansas? I mean, God, it's hot, humid, mostly flat, brown water. This is not the kind of place I'd want to click my heels to.
All right, so that was a trailer from Ashes to Mortality. Looks really awesome. I'm actually really excited to see it too. So my next question is for you, George. How did you get involved with the, or how did you first hear about the project?
Actually, I was online. I was doing social media. You know how it's really where it's at right now. And I went on to this website and I couldn't find anything. I got frustrated. I threw my hands up. I'm like, there's nothing around here. I want to leave town. I want to go somewhere where there's more stuff going on. And my friend, the one that got me into it in the first place, hey, I found something. Go down there. And I just went. I just drove down there and checked it out. And he was there with a bunch of actors, and they're all in a room like it always is. And we're all waiting, and we're all wondering. And he had me go up there and try like 5 or 6 different parts. And like a week later, he called me. And then boom, I'm in it. So playing a biker named Matt DeLuca. Bad guy, good guy. Who knows? So.
Do you want to tell me a little bit about your character?
I made up a whole past in my head so I could really get into my character, but he's a biker guy. He's probably from Topeka. He's dating this girl in Lawrence. Kind of a loner, just not a really bad guy, nice person. You know, he's just he's who he is. He's not one of those guys that tries to make it too much. Just doing his thing, man. And then he's got a lot of things going on with certain people. I don't want to give away too much, but a lot of stuff going on that shows very depth of character. So
what was the audition process like, Eric? Where did you hold that up? How many people came out? All of that.
Well, I started the auditions. I didn't really have a lot of money when I started, so I held free auditions. Well, free as in renting the space from the Lawrence Percolator, which is run by Christy Dobson, who's a really big film lady in Lawrence. It's a nonprofit, and we started there. It's just a small little free space to hold auditions. We did a couple of auditions there, and then we did a couple auditions at the Lawrence Art Center, because I thought we should, go bigger than a small space. And then, and I was astonished at how helpful the Art Center was. They basically gave it to me for free, and it costs like a lot of money just to rent it. So I was like, there's so many times in this process I've been on the verge of tears, just how helpful people are. So, but yeah, I don't know what else you asked me. I forgot.
It's okay. We'll move on. Okay. What would you like to see? Where would you like to see this series go?
Well, just to get as big as it can be. I look at it sort of as a resume builder for everybody, but I certainly don't want to stop at a resume builder. I want it to be just to get in the viewer and be worth their time to watch. So any episode, I just want the viewer to be like, man, that was pretty cool. So
did you finish the pilot already? Is the pilot wrapped? You still got some stuff you got to do with it, or?
No, filming starts on August 6th, and that's when Wes Studi and Blake Robbins are coming into town. And yeah, so I'm really anxious to get started because I wanted to get started like 5 months ago, but it's just how it works. So
Absolutely, everything takes time, especially I personally cannot stand the pre-production process at all. Once it's all set and done, you got everyone going, and I'm like, all right, let's do it. How many episodes do you plan on making this? I know you said you want this to be ongoing.
well, this first season I want to have at least 8. I feel like 8's a good number. Like, I think the first season of True Detective had 8, I believe so, 8 or 9.
I think it was 8.
So I don't, something like that. So.
Okay, so you say you want everyone to watch it and everything. You want it to be more than a resume builder. Well, what's the ultimate goal for this?
Well, just the ultimate goal is just to make everybody see it. I mean, there's always a way out there, and you just got to find that way to get it so people can see it, like TV, theaters, Netflix if they want it. But it's definitely not gonna I don't mean to sound arrogant. I just want it to be everywhere that people can see it. So.
No, absolutely. I don't think it sounds arrogant at all.
Okay,
That's the whole
sorry.
point of making movies and TV shows and whatever, is to get the audiences to watch it, whether they love a character or hate a character or anything like that. So one piece of advice, what would be one piece of advice that you would give, George, to an aspiring actor?
Believe that it's possible. You know, it's like any other job. You just go to work. And every time you go to an audition, whether or not you get the part or not, that's irrelevant. It has nothing to do with it. No is not a bad thing in this industry. It's just you didn't fit a role. Go to auditions. It's go to work, go to work, go to work, go to work. That's it. And that's all you really have to do. You're going to find roles that suit you. The more you practice, the more you get to know your craft. Just be yourself, man. Don't fear. Success is on the other side of fear.
Right.
I always say that. So if you want to succeed, just quit being afraid. Just quit thinking. Just go.
Right. All right, that was a great piece of advice, and I wanted to thank George and being here in studio, and Eric. We'll come back when we come back. I'll sit down with Jenna McCarty to talk about her process and experiences when acting in independent films. Stay tuned.
When it became time for me to retire, I decided I wanted to move to a smaller community in central Missouri. We chose Fayette because Fayette had a college, which meant that you had some culture, but it also meant that I could pick up KMOS TV because I wasn't going to live any place where there wasn't PBS. That's the way I felt about it. KMOS basically gives us the world. We're not out in the country anymore. So there's a huge diversity that you get from PBS, which you simply don't get on regular television. So I think that that's the real merit of having a station like KMOS. And I would strongly encourage people to include KMOS in their wills so that not only our generation, but the future generations to come will have the great advantage of having KMOS in their home.
Welcome back to Upstart Film. I now have the pleasure of talking with Jenna McCarty and her mom, Stacy, in studio. Hi, guys. Thanks for coming down.
Hi, thanks for having us.
So, tell me a little bit about yourself, Jenna. How did you get involved with acting?
Well, I started when I was 3, and I went professional when I was 8, and I sort of started in the theater version, and I moved towards film when I was 9.
Okay, well, that about sums it up. So, what made you want to do this?
I was really motivated because I was always dramatic as a kid, so I kind of put that in towards doing what I love, which is acting.
Okay. Stacey, did you help push her in this direction or anything like that?
Not at all. I wasn't in theater or anything like that, and I'm kind of shy when it comes to that kind of stuff, so it was definitely not something that I wished for. I just sort of got pulled along a little bit at a time, and as she got more interested and more excited and more energized, we just sort of sought out other things. But she didn't really go hardcore until about 8. She did a lot of other activities just like any other kid, and I think she just decided kind of at that age something clicked, and she was ready to just jump in full time. So
awesome. How did you what made you get into it? You said you've always been dramatic and over all that stuff, but what made you want to be an actress?
Well, I always watched Disney shows as a kid like any other kid would, and I always thought, I want to be there. I want to be doing that because they inspire me, like watching them, how they can be so bubbly, and I like being over dramatic and bubbly, so I know that that's what I wanted to do.
It's awesome. Especially working in the independent area, how difficult is it to get work, especially in the Midwest area?
It's very difficult. I know that it's really about connections, so knowing you and knowing people around, and it's hard because there isn't really lots of auditions. It's more about knowing people and they're doing something and they call you up and say, hey, can you do this? And then you say, sure. So it's about connections too.
How frequent would you say you auditioned or got roles in a year or something like that?
Yeah, there's always a slow version of time, and I'd say for me that was last year, but this year I've been very blessed to be having lots of auditions, especially in the theater area with film also. I do lots of things for example, like college students when they have their senior projects. I do lots of auditions for those, but yeah, there's always a certain amount of time where you don't have as many auditions as you would hope for.
So I know from personal experience that you work on the 48-hour film projects. Mm-hmm. How did you get involved with that?
Well, in the beginning, I just knew someone, because I've done, I think, 3 of them now. And I just knew someone, and by knowing that person, I got the audition. So I just kind of, it was just by knowing someone. I started with a man named Alden Miller with doing a sci-fi one. I wasn't really a big part in that, but I was featured in it.
Alden actually used to work here at KMOS, and he was actually my boss for a little while. So, and I've worked with him on some films as well.
So see, small world.
Yeah. So I actually have a clip from the one you did, not this time, but last year. It's called "Forgive Me." Would you want to preface what that movie's about?
Yeah, that's about. It's a woman, and she is a drunk inventor. She is. She's married, and she has a kid, which I played. And she is just like all messed up, and the dad took the girl away from her, and she's trying to get her back, and yeah.
All right. Well, here's a clip from Forgive Me.
We're leaving.
Where are we going?
My sister's house.
Why didn't you tell me sooner? I'm supposed to be meeting with some people today for my new adventure.
Yeah, well, you're not going.
Wait, what?
You got all your stuff?
Wait, Molly's going with you? How long are you gonna be gone? There's not enough room at your sister's house for all this?
Yeah, we're gonna ship all the rest out there.
Molly, baby, wait. Molly, baby. Just tell me, how long are you gonna be gone?
I can't say.
Yes, you can. I'm your mother. Talk to me. I just want to know when you're going to be back.
I don't think we are coming back.
All right, so that was a clip from her 2014 entry that she acted in for the 48-hour film project. So how did you get involved with that project specifically?
That project, they were just looking out. I think it was on was that on Facebook somewhere? Yeah, it was on Facebook, and we saw that, and we asked if we could do that. So we got invited in that one by Facebook.
Awesome. Yeah, those are. How do you feel from an actor standpoint, about the 48-hour film project specifically?
I think it's an amazing idea because it's an opportunity to just put together with a team a creative film, and I think it's so cool that you get like a topic and then something like there are certain things you have to do, and I think that's really cool because it also gives an awesome opportunity for acting in the area. Absolutely.
So how many projects would you say you've worked on since you've really started kicking this in gear?
I was in the movie Country Strong, which was with Gwyneth Paltrow and Tim McGraw. I was just in the audience because I was at a concert and they were filming for the movie at the concert. And then I did the short film with Alden Miller for the 48-Hour Film Festival. And then I did one just for fun with Alden, which was the little horror one. And then there was the one with you, which was An Important Question. It was the romance, and I was either the daughter or the younger sister.
I think we went with younger sister.
Yeah.
They were kind of too young to have a 12-year-old.
Yeah, and then the Forgive Me.
Awesome. So Stacy, what's it like being a mom to like a young actress, especially when she can't drive, so a lot of driving and all that kind of stuff. Could you kind of describe what it feels like to go through that all the time, running around?
Early on I was really nervous because I just felt out of my realm. I'm a business major and that's kind of been my world. And so to move into a creative area is a little looser and a little less planned. And so that was definitely different for me. We're pretty rigid about, being on time or making sure we know ahead what we need to know. And I think that's probably more for me than for her, just so I have a comfort level. But I was lucky enough to be at home with our kiddos. And so as she grew through that, I just sort of became sort of chauffeur. She's very good about her own process, though. She's really organized. She knows what she needs. She'll do her lines by herself. If there's any voice work, she does that on her own. She's pretty self-directed, thankfully. So I don't have to put a lot of contribution in. And then when there's something that isn't independent and is maybe a little more commercial, then she has her agent to kind of help her along with that kind of stuff. But she has a lot of training, so hopefully she's pretty professional on set. I guess you could attribute that, but a lot of what she has learned has really just been watching and listening. And again, with the independent things locally, just meeting people. It is so fun to be somewhere at something in town and say, hey, didn't we work together or audition together or something like that? So you really are building a network. And that's probably one of the greatest gifts and surprises, quite honestly, for us, is that really we are friends with many people. And we have a neat community that's just kind of silent but growing and getting a little bit bigger, and the networks are reaching out a little bit more, and I think that's very exciting for a young actor because there's so much that they can learn from any given person and any given project. Even if you're an extra, you're learning about what's going on behind the scenes, you're meeting new people, you're meeting others and watching how they're doing their performance. So I think a lot of it has just been kind of growing on the spot and growing those relationships. And I still am just a chauffeur. I'm not a momager. She kind of knows what she needs to do and is pretty self-directed and will ask questions. So I'm just kind of along for the ride, but I'm enjoying it.
It's awesome, yeah, especially around here, all about connections and meeting people, and everyone's so nice. I've come, living in Warrensburg, and I've been doing it for a long time myself, and like starting to finally get out into Kansas City, like the past few years, and meeting all these new people, and like yourself and things like that. And it's really nice that everyone's just so kind of it's all community. Everyone gets along, and they all want to help each other because everyone wants to do this.
Yep.
So, what do you like most, do you think, about acting? Like what do you like really, what's the passion behind it?
I feel like just the people that are so nice out there, and it's such a great experience because when I'm acting, I feel like I can be anyone who I want depending on my character. But I feel like when I'm acting, I feel so passionate. Like I love running lines with family or whoever's around, and I love meeting so many nice people because everyone here is so nice. There's no like, do this, do that, but they're all so nice, and everyone knows someone that you know.
So where would you like to take this? You want them? Is this a career? Is it just going to be a hobby, or where would you like to go with it?
I feel like it's going to be a career because I want to move to Los Angeles when I'm done with college to take it to a higher level.
Okay. You know it's going to be kind of hard out there, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So do you do any stage productions or anything like that too?
Yeah, I was recently in December. I was in the teen ensemble and I was a caroler for Christmas Carol at the Repertory Theater, and I do lots of just school theater and things like that wherever I can get it. And coming up, I'm going to be in 13, which is a new Broadway show for Immeasurable Productions.
Awesome, that's great. Well, I'm afraid that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you to George Dean, Eric Hyde, Jenna McCartney, and her mom for coming to sit down with me and discussing their processes and when being actors in the independent market. So tune in next time as we have more on the movie making process. Again, I'm Josh Leonard, and that's a wrap for Upstart Film. Good night.